In Apex Construct, you are the last human alive and must fight off robots while solving puzzles. Two AIs are trying to convince you that the other one is not trustworthy. These AIs are called Mother and Father. The mystery surrounding the two really drives the story forward, and I was really quite unsure of who to trust, even though Mother is in charge of the robot army that roams the land. Your main weapon is a bow. You have to actually pull an arrow back and release it to fire it. It's very responsive, and you can be incredibly precise with your shots. You have to be precise with your aiming too, as enemy hit detections are quite small, and arrows can pass through the edge of a robot's body without causing damage.
As long as you aim for their centre, where their red eye is located, your shot will collide every time.
Yeah, it will, but the lack of collision on their legs and side parts of the body does make some of them shots feel quite unrewarding, especially when you have hit that part from very far away. What is rewarding though, is the fact that when a robot dies, it usually drops RP, which is the game's form of currency, and in a similar fashion to the Dark Souls series, if you die, you will lose all the RP you have collected, but unlike Dark Souls, it is gone for good. This RP can be spent at vending machines, which contain health, bombs, and mines. Bombs and mines can be found scattered around the world too, and are great for getting a multi-kill with. You can also spend your RP on upgrades in the main hub world. It's a simple upgrade system, but certainly gives you the extra incentive for completing each level without dying once, as the more you die, the harder the game becomes because of the less upgrades you can afford. This setup really does make each encounter with these machines even more thrilling. The actual combat is very fast and intense, and your bow also comes equipped with a shield that you can bring up at any time. But I didn't feel the need to use it that much, as dodging left and right usually gets you out of harm's way, although you will absolutely need to shield yourself in the more narrow areas of the game. Like when you're moving along a corridor. There isn't a massive amount of enemy variety. You get crab-like robots that fire projectiles at you, dog-like bots that charge towards you, turrets that are stationary, and then there is a boss battle, which I won't ruin here. Although there isn't a whole lot of variety in enemy designs, the gameplay with some of the enemy types does change as you progress through the game. Enemies will appear with shields on, and some will teleport around the area you're in. Not only do these robots gain new abilities, but you do too, which come in the form of different arrow types. These include basic arrows, electricity arrows, and explosive arrows. All of these types are useful against certain enemies. The electricity arrows stun enemies and also disable their shields briefly. You do get unlimited electricity and explosive arrows, but you must wait for them to recharge. This slows down for combat, especially when you are facing a shielded enemy and must wait for your electricity arrows to replenish. It is slightly annoying, having to wait for it to recharge, as you are forced into a blocking and dodging game.
On the other hand, these moments are incredibly intense, considering only a couple of ill-judged movements can result in you losing all of your RP.
Absolutely. My heart was racing during these moments. Combat isn't the only thing the game focuses on. There is a lot of puzzle solving here, and the pacing between the two is done very well. You will have to find passwords to unlock doors from computer terminals, collect keycards to access new areas, and your different arrow types also play a part in puzzle solving. Electricity arrows can power up panels, and explosive arrows can blow a hole in weak walls. It does feel a little bit like a Metroid or a Batman Arkham game, considering you pass areas that you don't have access to begin with, but you can return to them later on to see what secrets they hold. Sometimes you will have to return to these areas too, as they hold a key item that progresses the story. There is quite a bit of backtracking in this game, and it can come across as filler. Enemies' placements are different during a revisit, but it's not enough to make the outing as engaging as the first time. Transporting items from one place to another is extremely easy to do, thanks to the brilliant inventory system. To take something with you, you simply place it in a slot on your left hand, and to retrieve it again, you grab it back out, which magically forces it back to real life size.
I've always wondered what a high-tech version of Mary Poppins' bag would look like.
Grabbing a keycard from your inventory, swiping a scanner, and then placing it back to use later on is just so fluid, and it becomes second nature. The action simply feels really cool to do. You can do hand actions too, which come in the form of gestures. Not only do they offer a bit more visual realism, but they do serve a purpose. If you point or clench your fist, you are able to interact with physics-based objects, such as whiteboards and doors. The physics don't always work as they should though, especially if you grab something on a table. They can get stuck and twitch around everywhere. Luckily, this can be avoided by reaching out and grabbing something from far away, as the object will come towards you. This makes playing seated a possible option, although some drawers that you can open will be out of reach. There was only one time where I had to move to reach something to progress the story though, and to my knowledge, there isn't any collectibles that require you to be very close to the ground. The game's collectibles come in the form of documents that can be read on computers, and also physical trophies that can be held. The documents give you a greater insight into the storyline and are stored on a terminal in the main hub world. The trophies can also appear in the main hub, although you will have to carry them back there in your inventory. It's a nice little touch and makes your home feel a little bit more personal.
Even in a world that has been torn to ruins, it's pleasing to see that cleanliness is still admired.
The world really has been destroyed too, but although the world has been torn apart, the environment is very colourful. Vegetation is seen growing everywhere, and waterfalls fall from the side of cliffs. It really does have some beautiful scenery, although I did experience some pop-in during the start of the game, and then again towards the end, but it was nowhere near consistent enough to really have a negative effect on my experience.
The only popping in I shall be doing is when I'm invited round for some tea.
The main game took me around 4.5 hours to beat, but I didn't find every single one of the game's collectibles in that time, so there is a little bit of extra time to be spent here if you're a completionist. And the game also comes with an extra game mode called the Signia Cup Challenge. This is basically a shooting gallery with leaderboards attached, but the fact that the bow and arrow mechanics work so well in this game make this a very fair and skillful game. The faster you are, and the more precise you are with each one of your shots, gives a better score. I can certainly see some people getting quite addicted to leaderboard chasing.
You have to relax when you're shooting an arrow. You can't be tense, and that just helps in your everyday to-day life.
Do you always have to bring up quotes in our reviews?
If I had it my way, I would be saying, do you always have to bring up video games during my shows?
I have already reviewed Apex Contruct before on the PSVR, and I have to say, some of the issues I had with it back then have been resolved here. Just like the PSVR version though, I was once again blown away by how good the bow and arrow mechanics are, but on the Quest, you can be slightly more precise with your aiming, which makes the enemy's more hit detection more forgiving, and of course, the analog sticks remove quite a bit of frustration when it comes to the combat. I have reviewed over 150 PSVR games now, and to this very day, the inventory system in this game is still my favourite out of all of them.
Oh, could you be any more obvious when plugging your other VR channel?
Oh, break a leg! I'm making a point! There is so many different option settings you can change in this game, which makes it a perfect story-driven title to experience if you're a newcomer to VR. It also has some decent replayability at the end of the game if you missed any of the collectibles, and the extra Signia Cup Challenge mode offers a high score leaderboard table that truly will separate the pros from the noobs, due to the game's perfected bow and arrow mechanics.
Violence, violence, violence! This is all that games have become these days.
Did I mention that you can take a break and have a cup of tea in the game?
Well, who could say no to a cup of tea?
Mr. Oculus.